to make sure that all of the citizens of Plano have the recreation amenities that they want close at hand.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shauna Haley, and this is Inside Plano. Welcome to the podcast, Steve Stoller.
Hi Shauna.
How's it going?
It's going good. We're in a pretty interesting place
Absolutely,
today.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, to our listeners, we hope that you enjoyed last month's episode. It was kind of a special episode. We rebroadcast the mayor's State of the City speech in its entirety. And the theme of that speech, Steve, was Pathways to Excellence. And we covered a lot of investments that are currently being made in the city.
You know, here on the podcast, Shauna, we've been focusing on Plano's reinvestment in the city, everything from business growth to infrastructure improvements. Well, this month, we're turning our attention to one of our beloved recreational facilities that's really undergoing a significant renovation.
Absolutely. You're a longtime Plano resident. I'm a longtime Plano resident. For many of us who've lived here for a long time, it may feel like Tom Muehlenbeck Recreation Center was built probably about last year. You know, it feels like it was recent, but it's actually nearly 20 years old. And the current work in the facility that we're standing in represents the largest renovation in its 17-year history. This is a $15.9 million project, and it was approved by voters in the 2021 bond referendum.
And to give us more insight into what's actually planned here, we're joined by the supervisor of the Tom Muehlenbeck Recreation Center, Chauncey Deller. Chauncey, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Steve, Shauna.
We always like to start our interviews by asking people, what is it about you, one thing that we don't know?
Ooh, that you don't know. I'm sure there's lots of things. Probably my past life was an athlete in running track cross country in college. I was a swimmer in high school. I've got a big family, 7 brothers and sisters. And, I grew up in East Texas. Like I said, ran track and cross country in college, worked in campus recreation there. And that's how I got my start in the industry, running pools. I was a lifeguard all the way through. And so ran the aquatic center at the University of Texas at Tyler. And then, ultimately moved to the city of Plano and have been here for about 10 years. I started at the Nature and Retreat Center and then here at the Tom Muehlenbeck Center for 7 years.
10 years. What is your role here at the Muehlenbeck Center?
So I've been with the Tom Muehlenbeck Center for 7 years. So I'm the complex supervisor of this facility. So that means I'm the primary supervisor of the facility. Our ultimate goal is to make sure that everybody's having fun and is able to do the things they enjoy. And it's my job to put together the team of staff to get that done. So I've got 10 full-time staff and 200 to 250 part-time staff, depending on the time of year, that are their goal is to provide those amenities to our citizens.
Well, can you talk about that a little bit more? How do you ensure that you're meeting the needs of the community through programming and the amenities that are in the facility?
So a couple of different ways. I would say probably the least boring is probably a series of spreadsheets, just tracking usage numbers that are in the facility month to month, week to week, day to day. Whenever we see spaces that are underutilized, we note that as an opportunity to expand. Parks and Recreation as a whole does a lot of surveys and tracking of data as far as usage numbers, who's using what spaces and for how long and what user group is that, so that we know that, what's being successful and what's not successful or what has a low census that, that could be potentially an opportunity to have something else there. We track that with a bunch of spreadsheets, a bunch of surveys. And then, ultimately we have, user groups. So depending on what the type of recreation is, we could have a user group that advocates for that use. So, most recently pickleball has come on the scene. 10 years ago, pickleball was less well known and was less utilized. But over the course of, a decade, even 5 years, I would say, pickleball has really come on the scene, and they've formed themselves a constituency or a user group, and they've advocated for themselves. And hey, it's our job to meet everybody where they're at and try to give them an opportunity.
Well, for our listeners who aren't longtime Planoites, can you share a little bit about the history of this center and the role that it serves in our community?
Sure. So this facility was opened in 2007. And so we've been open for 18 years. Not open anymore. We have about a little over 85,000 square feet. We've got a basketball court, 4 pools. We've got 9 classrooms, a big fitness center with weights and cardio, and we have prided ourselves to provide a multitude of different recreation amenities. One time I counted up, and I felt there was over 50 different ways that people were having fun in this facility, and so every one of those user groups is wanting to advocate for their space, and we're trying to give it to them, and we're also trying to work together with other user groups and do the dance of making sure everybody has space for what they're trying to do. We're probably the busiest rec center in Plano. I'm sure Carpenter may dispute that, depending on how we measure that, I guess. But that's the core of what we are is a large format fitness center.
Chauncey, for those who are listening and can't actually see where we are, we're in the middle of the gym, the basketball courts.
Sure, yep.
And just about everywhere you walk at the Muehlenbeck Center, you see construction underway. Give
Yes.
us a little overview about what's being done.
Sure. So the vast majority of what's being done is probably actually going to be behind the scenes. You won't actually see it. Bread and butter of this renovation is all about maintenance. And so we're 18 years old. And so a lot of our infrastructure is aging towards the end of its usable life. And so our roof, our HVAC systems, a lot of our features in the pool need to be replaced so that they don't fail suddenly or unexpectedly. And so that's the driver for this renovation. While we're there, we're going to do a lot of facelift stuff. So we'll definitely put a new coat of paint on everything. A lot of the flooring surfaces, a lot of the walls, a lot of the fixtures that people touch on a day-to-day basis will be updated and ready for another 15 to 20 years.
So when I drove in, there's signs all the way back on Parker Road saying facility is temporarily closed and giving a lot of information about the project. How are you actually serving your patrons? Because you've mentioned that this is a busy facility. How are you serving them right now?
So we're doing our best. Most of our to answer that question, most of the way that we're serving our patrons is to disperse the resources of the Tom Muehlenbeck Center out into the other rec centers in the city of Plano. So when somebody has a membership with Plano Parks and Recreation for a recreation center, they actually have a membership to all the rec centers, not just one. And so we're dispersing our resources throughout. So my staff are going to the other recreation centers to make sure that we are able to expand hours where possible. So I know that the Plano Aquatic Center is expanding some lap swimming hours. A lot of our programs that we're able to fit into Liberty. Liberty's taken a bulk of our programs. I know our table tennis tables, we were able to get 6 of those into Oak Point. It's not the full accoutrement of what we used to have, but it's a step forward to try to make sure that impact is blunted. And then of course I know we've got certain pieces of equipment over at Carpenter and at the Sam Johnson Center to try to help them expand what they have there.
So while you're talking about the entire system, really, how does this facility and the renovation of this facility fit in with the broader vision of the Plano Parks and Recreation Department's master plan?
So master plan, as you can imagine, is from the top down. So master plan is coming from the city of Plano's management and then Parks and Recreation's management to make sure that all of the citizens of Plano have the recreation amenities that they want close at hand. And so this recreation center is one of them. And we have 4 recreation centers in Plano, and this one primarily serves the citizens of West Plano. And another tenet of the master plan is to make sure that we're maintaining our infrastructure, maintaining our facilities, so that they're able to adequately serve our citizens for the greatest amount of time.
Chauncey, what's the timeline for completion of this project?
So it is a renovation project. So I would put a little caveat in there that any construction and any renovation, there's a possibility of unknowns, but based on our scheduling and our timeline that we have now, our plan is to be open at the end of the year. So December of 25 is the goal for us.
What's the most rewarding thing for you being in charge of this center and being a part of this renovation project?
Well, I would say running the recreation center, the biggest driver to come to work, and the biggest thing that I enjoy would be interacting with the citizens and the people that come here at the recreation center. We have a very diverse citizenry, and everybody has a different way they like to use the facility, and we try to make sure that we're meeting them where they're at. And I like to interact with them. Plano has a bunch of interesting people. I also have a lot of interesting staff, and I really enjoy working with them day in, day out. As we try to provide these recreation opportunities, and so those are the biggest drivers for me. As far as the renovation process, we have evaluated a lot of what we do here and try to condense that into the most efficient way to renovate and still have the maximum bang for the buck for the citizens. And so that was a good challenge. I really enjoy challenges like that to make sure that we're being good stewards of the dollar, while also setting ourselves up for success in the future.
So if listeners and patrons want to stay up to date with the project, is there a resource that they can visit to follow the project's process?
Absolutely. So there's a website, plano.gov/TMC renovation. Pretty simple, and we're all the information about the project is there. We do try to update that with pictures from time to time. I know there's at least 2 or 3 rounds of pictures of different areas of the building being taken apart, which is fun to see. But it'll start coming back together soon.
And listeners know we always like to put those links in the show notes, so you'll be able to find them there. Chauncey, is there anything else you want our listeners to hear today or to know about this renovation project?
I would say the big takeaway is that we understand that we, this facility being offline is an inconvenience, and it's a challenge for some of our citizens. And we hope that you enjoy the other rec centers and make the most of it. But we will be back soon, and it'll be better than ever. And so we look forward to that time and look forward to seeing you back here.
Sounds great. Well, thanks, Chauncey, for joining us today and giving us an update on the Muehlenbeck Center. This is a beautiful property, so I can't wait for it to be back.
And it's clear that all these improvements are really going to enhance the experience for anybody that comes here once it reopens. And we encourage everyone to stay tuned for updates and look forward to enjoying the revamped facilities very soon.
Absolutely.
Well, that does it for another episode of Inside Plano. Listeners, you know what to do. If you have questions, suggestions for additional episodes, or feedback that you want to provide us, you can always send that to us at askplano@plano.gov. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Sean.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye.
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano.